Everyone tells you to buy Toyota or Lexus, and honestly, they're right. But that advice is getting expensive. I went through real owner satisfaction and long-term reliability data from sources like Consumer Reports and J.D. Power, and the biggest surprise wasn't Toyota at all. Every car in this video was hand-picked by me. Quietly reliable, overlooked by hype, and trusted by the people who actually own them. You buy this one when you want something that just works without feeling like an appliance. Living with a 2014 to 2016 Mazda CX-5 is quietly satisfying in a way most crossovers never manage. The doors shut solid, the steering actually talks back. You don't feel punished for choosing reliability over excitement. It's the rare compact SUV that doesn't drain the joy out of daily driving. Most of these came with Mazda's 2.5-liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder, making around 184 horsepower, paired to a 6-speed automatic that avoids the CVT nonsense buyers complain about elsewhere. Real-world fuel economy sits comfortably in the mid-20s city and low 30s highway, which still holds up today without any hybrid complexity. Here's the mechanic truth most people miss. This generation landed right after Mazda fully committed to its Sky-active engineering. That means high compression without turbos, fewer failure points, and engines that tolerate age better than small boosted motors. Regular oil changes matter, but you're not chasing carbon buildup or transmission weirdness every other service visit. The big buyer mistake is ignoring suspension wear. Control arm bushings and rear shocks can be tired by 100,000 miles, especially on rough roads. The good news is, parts are affordable, and once refreshed, the car feels tight again instead of loose and floaty. Interior quality won't impress luxury shoppers, but nothing important falls apart. Infotainment can feel dated, yet it keeps working. And unlike some rivals, all-wheel drive versions don't punish you with reliability penalties. In today's North American market, clean examples usually land between about $11,000 and $16,000, depending on mileage and trim. That's thousands less than comparable Toyotas, for a vehicle that owners often keep just as long. This is for the buyer who wants one car to handle commuting, weekend trips, and bad weather without ever becoming a project. And if you think Mazda only got this formula right once, the next car on the list proves otherwise. From a mechanic's point of view, this is one of those cars you don't dread seeing roll into the bay. When a 2014 to 2016 Mazda 6 shows up, it's usually in for maintenance, not damage control. Oil changes, brakes, maybe suspension wear. Not panic lights, not mystery noises, not customer anxiety. That alone puts it in rare territory for a mid-size sedan from this era. Under the hood, you're almost always dealing with the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder, making about 184 horsepower, paired to Mazda's 6-speed automatic. No CVT, no turbo, no complicated tricks. That simplicity is exactly why these age so well. Timing chains hold up, cooling systems behave. You're not tearing half the engine apart to fix one sensor. Real-world fuel economy sits in the mid-20s around town and mid-30s on the highway, which customers still smile about years later. And unlike some competitors, those numbers don't come with oil consumption surprises. Here's the thing buyers don't realize. This generation Mazda 6 shares a lot of its engineering philosophy with the CX-5, but it benefits even more from lighter weight and better airflow. That means less strain over time, fewer heat-related failures, longer component life. What actually breaks? Front suspension components after higher mileage, especially if the car lived in pothole country. Occasional infotainment glitches. Wheel bearings if the owner ignored early noise. None of it exotic, none of it wallet-crushing. The biggest buyer mistake is skipping alignment checks. These cars drive so well that people ignore slight pulls or uneven tire wear until it's too late. Catch it early and the car stays tight for years. Market-wise, these usually trade between about $10,000 and $15,000 today, often thousands less than an equivalent Camry or Accord with similar mileage. This is the sedan for someone who wants long-term dependability without feeling like they gave up on driving enjoyment. And if you think this level of durability can't exist once luxury gets involved, the next model is where things get interesting. Quick pause for a second. If this is already changing how you look at the used market, tap like so YouTube knows this isn't clickbait. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this without the hype. And tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. Different markets tell very different stories. Honda didn't create Acura to be flashy. They created it to prove something. Back in the late 1980s, Honda watched buyers move upmarket and realized reliability alone wasn't enough anymore. Toyota answered that with Lexus. Honda's response was Acura. Same engineering discipline, tighter tolerances, more comfort, but without abandoning durability. The MDX is where that philosophy shows up most clearly. A 2014 to 2016 Acura MDX is basically a long-term ownership play disguised as a family SUV. Underneath the leather and tech, you're getting a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6, making around 290 horsepower, paired to a 9-speed automatic in these years. No turbocharging, no experimental transmissions, just proven hardware. From an ownership standpoint, these engines are known for longevity when serviced properly. Timing belt service is the big one buyers must respect. Skip it, and you're gambling. Do it on time, and the drivetrain just keeps going. Real-world fuel economy lands around the high-teens city and mid-20s highway, which is respectable for a 3-row all-wheel drive SUV of this size. Here's the subtle win most buyers miss. Acura tuned this to feel lighter than it is. Steering response, braking feel, and chassis balance are far better than most family haulers. That means less stress on components over time and fewer suspension complaints compared to softer rivals. Common issues are refreshingly boring. Worn bushings, aging motor mounts, occasional electronic gremlins, nothing systemic, nothing catastrophic if you inspect properly. Pricing today usually falls between about $13,000 and $18,000, often far less than equivalent Lexus GX or RX models. This is for buyers who want luxury without drama, space without sloppiness, and a badge that earns its reputation quietly. And coming up next is an Acura that almost nobody remembers exists, which makes it one of the smartest buys on this entire list. This one exists because Honda briefly listened to practical people instead of marketers. The Acura TSX Sportwagon was built for buyers who wanted car reliability, real driving feel, and space for life without jumping into an SUV. And that's exactly why it failed commercially and why it's such a steal now. From an ownership perspective, this is one of those cars people regret selling. Under the hood, you're looking at a 2.4-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, making about 201 horsepower, paired to a 5-speed automatic. No turbo, no CVT. No gimmicks, just old-school Honda engineering that thrives on routine maintenance and long highway miles. Real-world fuel economy lands in the low 20s city and low 30s highway, which is impressive considering the weight and cargo capacity. And unlike many European wagons, you're not budgeting for electrical nightmares or fragile cooling systems as the years pile on. Here's the mechanic-style insight. These drivetrains are boring in the best way. Timing chains instead of belts, strong bottom ends, transmissions that don't self-destruct if you change the fluid. Most of the issues I see are wear-related, not design failures. Suspension bushings, tired struts, occasional power steering seepage, all manageable, all predictable. The biggest buyer mistake is ignoring ride height and alignment. Because it's lower than a crossover, neglected suspension wear shows up faster in tire wear. Inspect it carefully, refresh what's tired, and the car drives like it lost 10 years overnight. Inside, the cabin still feels solid. Buttons work, leather holds up. The tech is dated, but it doesn't freeze or crash like newer systems trying too hard. Market prices usually sit between about $11,000 and $15,000, largely because most buyers don't even know this model exists. This is the ideal car for someone who refuses to drive an SUV, needs real cargo space, and plans to keep a vehicle for a long time. And if you think that was niche, the final car on this list might be the most misunderstood Subaru ever sold. Most people remember this car for the wrong reasons, and that's exactly why it deserves a second look. The Subaru Tribeca never failed because it was unreliable. It failed because it didn't fit Subaru's image at the time. Buyers wanted rugged and boxy. Subaru gave them smooth, quiet, and almost upscale. The market shrugged. Owners, on the other hand, quietly kept driving them. You're getting a 3.6-liter flat-six engine making about 256 horsepower, paired to a 5-speed automatic and Subaru's full-time all-wheel drive. No turbo, no CVT in these years. That alone separates it from a lot of modern Subaru's buyers worry about. Here's the ownership reality. This drivetrain is one of Subaru's most durable setups when maintained. The flat-six runs smoother than the 4-cylinders, doesn't work as hard, and avoids the head gasket reputation that still scares people off older Subarus. Oil changes matter. Cooling system health matters. But catastrophic failures are rare. Fuel economy is the trade-off. Expect mid-teens in the city and low 20s on the highway. You don't buy this to save gas. You buy it because it feels planted, confident, and unbothered by weather or bad roads. Mechanic insight most buyers miss. Suspension and wheel bearings deserve attention. This is a heavy vehicle, and neglected bearings can get noisy. Catch them early and the car stays quiet. Ignore them and you'll think the whole thing is falling apart when it's really not. Interior quality surprises people. Materials hold up better than expected, seats stay comfortable, and nothing essential feels fragile. The third row is usable for kids, not adults, but folded down it makes a great road trip hauler. Prices today usually sit between about $9,000 and $14,000, largely because the badge doesn't scream smart buy to most shoppers. This is for the buyer who wants all-wheel drive security, long-term durability, and doesn't care what the internet thinks. If you're shopping smart in today's market, these are the cars that reward patience, not hype. None of them are perfect, but all of them prove that reliability isn't owned by a logo anymore. It comes from proven engineering, real owner satisfaction, and buying what everyone else overlooked. If this video helps you think differently about your next purchase, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which city you're watching from. That support tells me to keep digging past the obvious answers and bringing you the cars that actually make sense to own long term. More real-world buying advice is coming next, and the best deals are usually the ones nobody is talking about yet.